Hey guys, what's up? I'm back. Today we're going to be doing another video in the Let's Talk About series. And this is going to be a Let's Talk About the ECHL. If you don't know what the ECHL is, it's basically a double-A hockey league. It's NHL, AHL, and ECHL. Not all the ECHL teams have affiliates, but all the AHL teams do have affiliates. That's really a really big difference between the affiliation chains. But the ECHL is looking to expand to whatever areas it can, and it is also looking to get 31 out of the 31 teams eventually affiliated with the NHL, which that means a lot of different stuff. Just one second. Which means they basically do want to be a big part in the development of hockey in the future for the NHL. And some teams, they do like to build through the minors. That means they'll like Buffalo's one really good example. They want to build through the minors, which means they're putting a lot of the good players into the minors and building from there and building them up to the NHL, which I think that's a great way to do stuff. And some NHL teams, they just use it as guys that for like depth guys in the AHL that cannot make that team or aren't good enough to make that team yet. So they mainly, they do use it for a little bit of development, but they mainly just use it as a team to place guys that they don't feel ready for the AHL or that don't fit on the roster. So there's a lot of parity in the ECHL. A lot of teams do come and go. Brampton, the Beasts, are the newest team at this moment in time to have yeeted themselves out of the ECHL. Other teams, like Augusta, the Augusta Lynx, the Amaro Jackals, and a whole bunch of other teams that I really can't mention. Chicago Express, really good one right there. So the ECHL does kind of need to stabilize just a little bit. But then I think after they stabilize, more teams will be calling for affiliations. And they are a little bit stable and they are expanding a little bit without having many teams leave, but it's still not as stable as many NHL teams would like to have. And there's a lot of ECHL guys that have gone on to earn NHL jobs. Mike Liampis, really good guy right there. Frederick Goudreau with the Nashville Predators, who is now actually with the Penguins. Really good example there. So the ECHL has had a lot of alumni to play in the NHL. What they're looking for mainly right now is to get as many guys developed into there from the ECHL up onto the NHL stage as possible. Brian Foster, he was a really good example. He actually was an accident. The goaltender, I think, got hurt in Florida, and on his birthday, he was able to make his debut and become one of the alumni, which I think that's a really freaking amazing story. I love it. And also, the ECHL, they don't have many dirty teams. Some of them are rougher than others. The really only dirty team I can think of right now is really Kalamazoo, and that's not the head coach's fault. Any time the head coach runs that Kalamazoo team, it's not a dirty team, but when he lets the assistant coach kind of jump in, that's when I feel a lot of the dirty stuff is happening. So it's not like it's really the head coach's fault that it's dirty. I think maybe he should step in and say, okay, enough is enough. We're not playing dirty anymore. So yeah, if you guys have any comments on that, please feel free to put them down in the comments. Please keep it civil. If there's fighting and that stuff and it becomes a little too much, I will step in and say, hey, please stop. And if it doesn't stop, then I will kind of step in and just delete that comment thread entirely. So feel free to debate, but just please keep it nice and civil. No going after people. That's really a lot of my only rule in there. So yeah, I love ECHL hockey. I go to as many ECHL games as I can. Haven't really had time to go through and go see some ECHL teams this year because the team closest to me that I had season tickets for, they opted out of the season, and the next closest teams are Wheeling, Fort Wayne, and Indy. So sadly, I have to settle for Flow Sports, which that's an awesome provider. I love that the ECHL TV is on there. I love Flow Sports. It costs you about $100 to for a yearly subscription, but it's 100% worth it. I definitely recommend at least looking into getting Flow Sports because it's not just ECHL TV that's on there. It's not just ECHL hockey. You have college hockey. You have um, baseball. You have racing. You have a lot of different sports. Gymnastics. So Flow Sports. This was not sponsored, by the way. I definitely do recommend checking that out because they are a really good provider for watching games. Um, and these CHL, they're on there, and that's probably who I like to watch most. That's who I watch most of the time there. So definitely look into that. Now let's get back to the video. So the ECHL does have some deals in place. There's a new team coming in Iowa. I've no idea how to say the name, but it is a few miles away from Iowa City. So, they are expanding more. Unfortunately, Quad City did not work out in the ECHL. I'm hoping that this one does, because I like Iowa. My mom's from Iowa, so it was pretty cool. Even for the last ever game, because they didn't make the playoffs last year, they played my team, and I actually got to go and watch that game. For the last ever game, I was actually there for the Quad City Mallards. Of course, they won that game, and we lost, which was kind of disappointing, but good at the same time. I believe that Quad City is now in the SPHL, or maybe the IHL or FHL. I cannot remember which, but I know it's in a single A league. So, yeah, there's a lot of different teams here throughout. There's no team in California anymore. Sadly, they all jumped up to the AHL all at once, so all at once it was just no California teams. Maybe the ECHL should look into going back over there and being like looking into that stuff. I think that could be a really good source of money because California is a big state. They have like 3 teams in Florida now with Jacksonville, Orlando, and the Florida Everblades, which Everblades are really good every single year. I have to give them props. They always put together a really good contending team, and they're always a threat to make the playoffs and make it far in those playoffs. So definitely, I do have a lot of respect for the Florida Everblades. They have a lot of former guys I used to watch. Miles Powell, Pascal Kin, Arvin Atwell. These are some guys that are over there now in Florida, playing for them. And of course, a lot of these guys, they kind of had to go somewhere else. Like Cody Soul, they had to go to Florida, which that's not a bad place to play at all. I really want to go back down to Florida Everblades game and see them play, because last time I saw them play, I was in 5th grade. And they had 2 e-bugs, which they actually made it pretty far in the playoffs with 2 e-bugs. You don't see that very often. I'm still amazed by that. And Jesse Deckert was the starting goaltender, and I loved his pad setup. It was like an old school kind of pad setup, or look to it. I mean, and I loved his pads. So Jesse Deckert, if you're listening to me, dude, I would not be mad if you decide to give me those pads. And I think that we lost. And I can't remember specifically because I'm now 19 and I'm graduated. That was all the way back in 5th grade. That's a number of years ago, so I'm really sorry that I can't remember everything. But I believe we lost by like 5-2. I think was the score. I'm not exactly sure. But Jared Skoll, he was our head coach then, I believe. So, that was him. That was coaching the team, and him and I. He kind of treated me like a son. I really loved it. So I wish him the best in all of his life's endeavors because he was really good to me. He was a really good coach, and well, I wouldn't say he was the best coach, honestly, but he was a really good person to have in that coaching slot. And he did have some success later in his run with the Cyclones. He did have a lot of success going to the playoffs, but sadly he did never get a championship with us, which is kind of bumming me out because he was a really good guy, and I just want to see him succeed, and he's kind of bounced around as of late. So that was kind of shitty to learn that he hasn't really had a stable job since then. I wish him the best though, because Jared Scully was a great guy. As are a lot of the coaches and a lot of the players. So yeah, with Florida, I definitely want to see another game down there. I definitely want to like travel around as many arenas as I can and see as many games as I can in different arenas. I went to Toledo a lot. I went to Fort Wayne a couple times. I went to Wheeling a lot. I went to Indy for a game. I saw the Everblades and Orlando play back in 5th grade, and so yeah, I want to travel more and see a lot more games that are not in my hometown. So that would be really, really nice to see that. But I don't like rambling on, so let's go over to the next topic on the player safety there. I feel like there's not a lot of dirty players there, but those dirty hits I don't feel like are punished enough. Like, I take videos and stuff and send it to the officiating department when I was younger, so that they can get the referees back in check. Because I'm gonna be completely honest, the ECHL referees not the best. Alex Norman by name. I know him by name because I hated him. He never did the job right. I nicknamed him Norman Dumbass because he I think he's better now than he was back then, but he just wasn't the best officiating team to have. And the next year he was in the AHL, which really pissed me off because he did not earn that one. So however, he didn't even deserve a job officiating youth hockey the way he was officiating the game, honestly. Like, I don't like to shit on many people, but Alex Normandin deserves it. I believe that there's another Let's Talk About video just about my feelings on him alone, if that tells you how much I disliked him. So yeah, the officiating I feel like could use some work every single year. They're getting better, but I feel like it still could use some work. I know that people aren't perfect, and these guys are still learning because this is AA hockey, and they're still developing. But some of these referees, they'll look right out of penalty, and they'll not get it. And here's my opinion on penalty call. I feel like if it's an injury risk, you need to call it, but I have no problem if it's not an injury risk, just letting the guys play. If it's an injury risk, there should be no question. You should be calling it right then. But if it's not, it's okay to let the guys play and not call it. Just call the game fair on both sides. If you're not going to call a penalty for one side, don't call it for the other side. Because that's showing favoritism, and I think that officiating teams show favoritism a little bit too often than what I'd like to see. And yeah, that's what I have for the officials. I feel like they could use some work, and then they could just use a little bit more help than what they do have overall. Next topic would be the ECHL player safety's suspension. I feel like sometimes they don't suspend a guy when there should have been the suspension, or when they do give a suspension, it's really not enough. However, there's one suspension that I 100% agree with, and he's still not back in the league, even though his suspension was over a long time ago. Ryan River, he had punched a linesman, and he got 26 games for that, and that was the playoff time, so it went into the next year. And he's still not back. I believe he's maybe overseas, I'm not completely sure, but I know he's definitely not playing in the ECHL, because I haven't seen him in a few years, which I think that's great. Him was just a risky player to be playing against. Well, he was, not him was. He was a risky player to play against. He was a dirty player. I'll be honest. He was a dirty player. And I feel like it was best that he doesn't play in this league again. And he doesn't care who hits. He doesn't care who he injures. It's just, I guess, part of his game. And I don't know why he was allowed back in the league year after year like that. But it eventually came to the head with that 26-game suspension, and nobody has seen him since. So I feel like that's really good. He didn't even sign the next year, so I don't feel like that should have counted because he didn't sign a contract. And if you don't sign a contract, I don't think you should be able to serve that time, if you know what I am saying. So I feel like he should still have to serve those 26 games if he does get let back in the league. And if he does sign somewhere else, I feel like he should still be serving that. With that being said, that's all I have to say about this. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time.